Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsman's Direct. It is Thursday, June 24th, so we're winding down the month of June, and water temp's warming up out there. Belle Isle water temp this morning was, I think, right around 70 degrees, and I checked a couple of days back, it had actually been warmer. We dropped back a little bit, but doesn't really matter much. 70 degrees is 70 degrees. It's scheduled to cool down a little bit, or I should say it's not scheduled, it's forecasted to cool down a little bit over the next 10 days as we've got some fairly stable temperatures coming in with some cool nights and, you know, right around 80-ish degree days. So we should hold right into those temperature ranges, which means only one thing: we're really into a summer pattern, which means a lot of activity is going on out deeper. However, it hasn't really spiked, so a lot of those fish haven't fully transitioned all the way out to the deeper water, and so we're kind of in that middle zone now where you've got fish, you know, scattered around on the different weed beds, working their way out deeper as they go, and they're holding up to eat when they got food and when the water conditions are right, so you don't have this massive push like we sometimes get when we get these big heat waves. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about the smallmouth fishing for you guys. I know there's a lot going on this weekend. I've got some tournaments coming in and for Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to have to really see what the weather does, because the wind forecast is looking pretty tough going into the weekend, and we've had a few pretty tough days already, especially with a really strong south wind blowing 15 plus miles an hour, and it looks like the forecasted peak wind speeds for the next at least 3 to 4 days through Sunday are still going to be with peak wind around 15 to upwards of 20 miles an hour, and it's still holding that southerly direction, which means that, you know, that those deeper water areas are going to be tough. I know a lot of guys have been fishing up in the Anchor Bay area, kind of tucking in behind Selfridge in that area. They're getting some fish up there, but it is generally not the prime areas where you guys want to be fishing right now, and I get that. Now, a little bit of hope. You can fish down on the southern end with a south wind, especially in and around the dumping ground area, and then down in through the region down there out in front of the Grosse Pointe area, just coming up out of the Detroit River. If you get far enough south, you're going to be out of those winds. The problem down on that end of the lake is you don't have a lot of great areas to launch, unless you maybe launch at 9 Mile, hug the shoreline and pull in down there, or launch maybe down at St. Jean's down there on the Detroit River. So that's it. That's all I'm gonna say about the smallie fishing, because really it's gonna be a lot of wind dependent for where you guys can fish. There's some big fish showing up out there at the channel, and there's bigger fish scattered in that deeper water, like 14 to 16 foot out there as well. 10 to 12, there's good numbers of fish, but generally not as much size. So you know, that's it for the smallies for this fishing report this weekend. It's just going to be weather dependent. Maybe the weatherman's going to be wrong. Maybe the winds are going to be less. You can never tell. But right now they're forecasting higher winds. Same thing for you walleye guys fishing out there. That area out in front of the South Channel, I know, has been getting pounded pretty hard. They're taking a lot of fish out there, but it's going to be rocking and rolling, I'm going to guess, with those wind directions. Same thing for you guys. That south end of the lake this time of the year, out in that northeast corner of the dump, or down on the south end of the dump coming out of the Detroit River, should be holding a ton of fish right now. And there's no reason why you can't go down there and catch a pile of walleyes down there as well. There should be just as many fish down there as there are up on that north end. Perch fishermen, that's same deal for you guys. They've been taking a lot of perch up there on that north end, but that south end should be holding a lot of fish as well. The dumping grounds normally this time of the year when the weed beds come up gets really good for big perch, especially over in that northeast corner over by the ridges over there, which is close to the Canadian border. We've been getting calls from a lot of people coming in from out of town asking about the border situation. It is still closed right now, so you have to stay on the American side. Sorry about that, guys, but that's just the way it is. A little bit more on the perch on the north end, getting reports that they are showing up in those channel cuts up there in the north end, up by the Snye and in the little cuts and on the edges up there of the channels. That will get you out of the wind in many cases, and there, you know, you can sneak across launching from up in that Algonac Marine City area and come across and pick your way through and fish those cuts up there. Even though you're going to be on the north end of the lake, you should be pretty well protected from all that south wind, because you're going to be in all those small cuts. The wind can be challenging for boat control, but you know, other than that, the fishing up there should be really good for perch. So that's an option for you guys up there, and you should be able to get into some panfish too up in that area. And there may even be some late spawning smallies up there with that cooler water coming down out of the St. Clair River. Now, noticing a little bit of action out there going on, and I'm not going to say you can go out and target these fish, but a buddy of mine, Mike Demansky, got a big steely out there this week, and that's not the first one that I've seen popping up on Facebook in the last week or so. So even with these warmer water temps, it's kind of amazing. You never know what you're going to get out here on St. Clair, and you can always get a big silverfish, you know, that'll pull those boards back and go airborne on you, and it makes for a pretty fun experience out there, especially when you get up closer to the St. Clair River up in that area. Trying to think about if we got anything else going on. Mayfly hatch is still going on, but the winds have really been keeping the mayflies offshore, so we're not seeing them as much down on this end of the lake anyways. I would expect maybe up in the north end. I haven't been up there driving around, but those gas stations and places up there might be chock full of them because all those mayflies get blown around with the wind in the evening when they hatch. So, but the winds for the most part have been keeping the big you know, batches of mayflies at least offshore, which makes it look like the mayfly hatch isn't going, but the mayfly hatch is going. 70-degree water, and the mayflies are going to be hatching out there. There's no doubt about that, which means that there should be good topwater bites going, but it's going to be really hard to see that with, you know, all the wave action out there. So even if there is a topwater bite going on, you guys aren't going to see very much of it because you just can't physically see what's going on with all the water movement. Let's see, anything else? Shore fishing up on that St. Clair River area. Shore anglers are still taking fish. It slowed down there for a couple of weeks, and now some of the shore guys are just pounding them the last few days, casting up around Marysville area along the shoreline and the different access points, throwing, you know, 3/8 to half-ounce jigs with finesse or thump plastics or other plastics, you know, that minnow style baits in that 3 to 4 inch range, and they've been taking just crazy numbers of fish again at night up there. So it did slow down. Now it's picked up. Got to believe it's some of those fish that we're holding out there in the main lake. Remember I talked in that last report about, you know, Joel wanting those fish to move up. Well, it sounds like they're moving up, and they're hitting that lower end of the river area right now, and they're headed up your way, Joel. So that fishing ought to start picking up even further north up there as we get into more of the summertime water temps out on St. Clair, and the bait fish move up into that river for that cooler water, and you'll see them just keep moving right on up, right up to the bridge. So that's all I've got this week for the fishing report. Muskie guys have not been doing much out there right now. The guys that are catching fish are keeping quiet. And with that border closed, I know everybody's chomping at the bit to get in Canada, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. So that's all I got for the report this week. Hang tight. We got more stable weather conditions coming in, looks like next week, with lighter winds for you guys that are planning a trip from out of town. And we will see you at the shop. Hey, if you like this video content and you want to get updated as soon as the next video is out there, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon, and you'll get notified as soon as the next video is up.